Commander Jake Morrison looked out the window of the spaceship. Stars filled the black space around them. He had seen many battles in his life. He had fought aliens across 3 different star systems, but today was different. Today he was not going to fight. The ship was called the U's Harmony. It was not built for war. It had no big guns or thick armor. Instead, it carried something the aliens had never seen before. It carried music. Jake walked down the hall to the music room. Inside, Lisa Chun sat holding her violin. She was small and quiet, but Jake knew she was brave. The government had chosen her from millions of musicians on Earth. She was the best violin player they had ever heard. "Are you ready for this?" Jake asked her. Lisa looked up at him. Her hands were shaking a little. "I have played for presidents and kings," she said. "But I have never played for aliens who think humans are just good for fighting." Jake sat down next to her. "The reports say they think we are nothing but soldiers. They use us to fight their wars, but they do not think we have souls." Lisa picked up her violin and played a few soft notes. The sound filled the small room. Even Jake, who knew nothing about music, felt something inside his chest. The notes seemed to speak without words. "Music is the language of the heart," Lisa said. "If they have hearts, they will understand." The ship's computer made a sound. They were getting close to their destination. Jake looked at the screen on the wall. Nexus 7 was a space station where different alien races met to talk. It looked like a giant wheel spinning slowly in space. Jake had read the files about the aliens they would meet. The Zephyrians looked like walking crystals. They were very smart and spoke in numbers and math. The Manthari looked like giant insects. They lived in groups and thought with one mind. The Vorthan were made of gas and floated like clouds. They were the oldest race in the galaxy. All 3 races had one thing in common. They thought humans were good only for fighting wars. For 50 years, humans had been the soldiers of the galaxy. When there was trouble, they called Earth. When they needed someone to die in battle, they sent humans. But now Earth wanted more. They wanted to be seen as equals. They wanted the aliens to know that humans were more than just warriors. That is why Lisa was here with her violin and a box full of Earth's music. "Sir," came a voice over the speaker. It was the pilot. "We are ready to dock with the station." Jake stood up. "This is it, Lisa. Everything depends on you now." Lisa put her violin in its case. She had brought other instruments too. A piano, some guitars, and recordings of Earth's greatest songs. The plan was simple. Show the aliens that humans could create beauty, not just destroy things. They walked to the docking bay. Through the thick glass, Jake could see the space station getting bigger. It was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. Lights blinked along its surface. Ships from different worlds were connected to it like flowers on a stem. "I have fought battles that decided the fate of whole planets," Jake said. "But I think what you are about to do is more important than any war one have ever fought." Lisa nodded. She understood. If she failed, humans would always be seen as nothing but fighters. If she succeeded, maybe the galaxy would finally see what humans really were. The ship touched the station with a soft bump. Air hissed as the doors connected. Jake checked his uniform one more time. Lisa picked up her violin case. "Remember," Jake said, "they have never heard music before. Not real music made from the heart. You are about to give them something new." The doors opened. Strange smells filled the air. Jake heard sounds he had never heard before. Clicking, buzzing, and what sounded like wind through leaves. The aliens were waiting for them. Jake and Lisa stepped forward into the station. The first alien they saw was tall and made of blue crystal. It spoke in beeps and clicks that the computer translated into words. "Welcome, humans. I am Ambassador Krell. We are curious about this cultural exchange you have requested. Show us what you have brought. Lisa opened her violin case. The alien looked at the wooden instrument with what might have been confusion. This is music, Lisa said simply. This is what makes us human. Ambassador Krell led Jake and Lisa through the halls of the space station. The walls were made of smooth metal that seemed to glow with soft light. Other aliens walked past them. Some had too many arms. Others floated in the air. Jake had never seen so many different kinds of life in one place. Your reputation as fighters is well known, Krell said. His crystal body made small ringing sounds when he moved. But we do not understand why you bring this wooden object. Lisa held her violin case closer to her chest. Music is hard to explain with words, she said. It is better to show you. They entered a large round room. The ceiling was high and curved, like the inside of a ball. In the center were chairs and tables made for different kinds of bodies. Jake saw a chair that looked like it was made for something with wings. Another table was just a cloud of mist. 3 more aliens were waiting for them. One looked like a giant mantis with green armor and 4 arms. Its eyes were black and shiny. The computer voice said this was General Thrack of the Manthari. The second alien was harder to see. It looked like purple smoke that moved and changed shape. Sometimes it looked almost human. Other times it spread out like fog. This was Ambassador Whisper of Storms of the Vorthen. So these are the famous human warriors, General Thrack said. His voice sounded like clicking and scraping. You look smaller than I expected. We are not here to fight, Jake said. We are here to share something with you. Share what? The purple cloud asked. Its voice sounded like wind through trees. What do humans have that we would want? Lisa set her violin case on the table. She opened it slowly. Inside, the wooden violin seemed to glow in the soft light of the room. She picked it up and held it against her chin. This is a violin, she said. We use it to make music? Music? Krell made a sound like breaking glass. We know of organized sound waves. We use them to send messages and navigate space. But what is the purpose of this? Lisa did not answer with words. Instead, she placed the bow on the strings and began to play. The first note was soft and sweet. It filled the room like warm honey. Jake watched the aliens carefully. At first, they did not seem to understand what was happening. Then something strange began to occur. Krell's crystal body started to glow brighter. The light inside him pulsed in time with the music. He made a sound of surprise. General Thrack stopped moving completely. His 4 arms hung at his sides. His black eyes grew wider. For the first time since Jake had met him, the mantis was perfectly still. But the biggest change was in Whisper of Storms. The purple cloud began to move in slow, flowing patterns. It grew brighter and darker as the music rose and fell. It looked almost like the alien was dancing. Lisa played a simple piece called Air on the G string. She had chosen it because it was beautiful, but not too complex. The melody moved up and down, like a bird flying through the sky. When she finished, the room was completely quiet. Krell began, then stopped. His crystal body was still glowing. What was that feeling? I do not understand, General Thrack said. His voice was softer now. The sound waves created patterns in my mind, but they served no function. They carried no information, yet they were pleasant. Whisper of Storms moved closer to Lisa. Purple clouds swirled around her, but did not touch her. The vibrations caused changes in my molecular structure. I felt calm. How is this possible? Jake smiled. This was exactly what they had hoped for. That is music, Lisa said. It is not meant to carry messages or help you navigate. It is meant to make you feel things. Feel things? Krell asked. You mean emotions? Yes, Lisa said. Music speaks to the heart, not the mind. She played another piece. This one was sadder and slower. Jake watched as the aliens reacted again. Krell's light became dimmer and bluer. General Thrack's head dropped slightly. Whisper of Storms became smaller and denser. "This music makes me feel heavy," the mantis said, "but not in a bad way. It is like ... like remembering something from long ago." "That is called melancholy," Lisa explained. "It is the feeling of beautiful sadness." "Beautiful sadness?" Whisper of Storms repeated. "These words do not make sense together. How can sadness be beautiful?" Lisa smiled. "That is what makes music special. It can make you feel many things at the same time. Things that seem opposite can exist together in harmony." She played one more piece. This time she chose something happy and fast. The aliens began to move again. Krell's light became bright white. General Thrack's arms moved slightly, as if he wanted to clap but did not know how. Whisper of Storms expanded and contracted like a beating heart. When Lisa finished, none of the aliens spoke for a long time. Finally, Krell said, "We have lived for thousands of years. We have traveled across the galaxy. We have built great cities and powerful machines. But we have never experienced anything like this. This is why we came," Jake said. "To show you that humans are more than just fighters. We create beauty. We make art. We have souls." Dr. Amy Foster sat in her small room on the ship, looking at the numbers on her computer screen. She could not believe what she was seeing. The readings from the meeting room showed things that should not be possible. Amy was a scientist who studied alien bodies and minds. She had spent years learning how different species thought and felt. She had machines that could measure brain waves, heart rates, and chemical changes in alien bodies. During Lisa's violin performance, Amy had secretly recorded everything. The data showed that the music had changed the aliens in ways they did not even know about. "Jake, you need to see this," Amy called over the ship's communication system. Jake came to her room a few minutes later. Lisa was with him. They both looked tired but happy. The first meeting had gone better than anyone had expected. "What did you find?" Jake asked. Amy pointed to her screen. "Look at these readings from Ambassador Krell." When Lisa played the slow, sad piece, his crystal structure changed. The molecules inside his body started moving in patterns that matched the music. "What does that mean?" Lisa asked. "It means the music did not just sound good to him. It actually changed his body. His crystal form was trying to copy the rhythm and melody." Amy switched to another screen. "And look at General Thrack. The music caused his brain to release chemicals that his species only makes when they are caring for their young. He felt protective and gentle, maybe for the first time in his adult life. That explains why he seemed so different," Jake said. "He actually looked peaceful." "The most interesting one is Whisper of Storms," Amy continued. "The Vorthen are made of gas, so they do not have brains like we do. But the music caused the gas particles in his body to move in organized patterns. It was like his whole body became a brain, all thinking the same musical thoughts." Lisa sat down in a chair. So the music really did affect them. It was not just their imagination. More than that, Amy said. It affected parts of their minds that they do not normally use. Every species in the galaxy has areas in their brains for processing sound. But humans are the only ones who connect those areas to the parts that control emotions. Jake frowned. "You mean other species cannot feel emotions when they hear sounds?" "They can feel emotions," Amy explained, "but not from organized sound like music. Their brains keep sound and feelings separate. When Lisa played her violin, she forced their brains to connect these parts for the first time. Amy showed them more data. The mathematical patterns in human music match the way thoughts move through the brain. When the aliens heard the music, their minds started thinking in new ways. That is why they seemed confused, Lisa said. They were feeling things they had never felt before. Exactly, Amy said. And there is something else. The music affected each species differently, but it affected all of them. That means music might be a universal language. Over the next few days, more aliens came to hear Lisa play. Word had spread through the space station. Species that had never spoken to each other before came to listen together. Lisa played different kinds of music for them. Classical pieces that were complex and mathematical. Folk songs that were simple and emotional. Jazz that was free and unpredictable. Each style caused different reactions. The Zephyrians loved the mathematical precision of classical music. They could predict the patterns and harmonies. But they were surprised when the predictable patterns still made them feel emotions. The Manthari preferred music with strong rhythms. Their whole bodies would move together when Lisa played marching songs or dance music. They had lived there, whole lives thinking as one group, and rhythmic music made them feel more connected to each other. The Vorthan liked music that changed and flowed, like jazz or ambient sounds. Their gaseous bodies would shift and swirl with the melodies. They said it felt like flying through space. But the most amazing thing happened when Lisa played a song called Killing Me Softly. She had arranged it for violin, making it slow and emotional. The song was about how music could touch someone's heart so deeply that it felt overwhelming. As she played, something incredible occurred. All the different aliens in the room began to respond in the same way. The Zephyrians glowed with the same soft blue light. The Manthari moved their arms in gentle, similar patterns. The Vorthan all became the same shade of purple. They are harmonizing, Amy whispered to Jake. Not with their voices, but with their whole bodies. The music is making them think and feel together. When Lisa finished playing, the room was silent for a long time. Then, one by one, the aliens began to make sounds, not words, but musical sounds. The Zephyrians rang like bells. The Manthari hummed deep, buzzing notes. The Vorthan made sounds like wind through leaves. They were trying to make music themselves. Lisa smiled and began to play along with them. Soon the room was filled with the strangest and most beautiful music anyone had ever heard. It was the sound of different worlds coming together in harmony. General Thrack paced back and forth in his private room on the space station. His forearms moved quickly as he thought. The other Manthari officers watched him with their black eyes. They were all thinking the same worried thoughts. This human. Music is dangerous, Thrack said. His voice was sharp and angry. Did you see how it made us feel? How it made us act? Yes, General, said Colonel Zex. When the human female played her wooden instrument, I felt things I have never felt before. It made me want to stop fighting. It made me want to protect, instead of attack. Exactly, Thrack said. What if our enemies learned to use this music against us? They could make our soldiers weak. They could make them forget how to fight. The Manthari had been warriors for thousands of years. Fighting was not just what they did. It was who they were. The idea that music could change, that scared them more than any weapon. We must learn to control this music, Thrack decided. We must find a way to use it as a weapon before others use it against us. Meanwhile, in another part of the station, Ambassador Krell was having similar thoughts. But the Zephyrians approached problems differently than the Manthari. They used logic and mathematics instead of force. The human music follows precise mathematical patterns, Krell told his assistants. If we can understand these patterns, we can predict their effects. We can calculate exactly how to make any species feel any emotion we want. But is that wise? Asked his assistant, Resonance of Truth. The music seemed to bring joy and peace. Should we not study it to bring more happiness to the galaxy? Peace and happiness are useful, Krell said. but so are fear and obedience. Imagine if we could make our enemies afraid just by playing certain sounds, or make our own people more loyal by playing music that makes them feel devoted. Even the Vorthen were concerned. Whisper of Storms floated in the council chamber, his purple form shifting with worry. This human music changed us, he said to the other Vorthen elders. It made us feel emotions we did not know we could feel. But what if someone uses it to make us feel emotions we do not want to feel? The next day, General Thrack came to see Jake and Lisa. His manner was different now. He seemed cold and businesslike. "We want to learn more about your music," he said. "We want you to teach us how to make it ourselves." Lisa was excited. "Of course, I would love to teach you. Music is meant to be shared." "Good," Thrack said. "We want to know how to make music that will make soldiers brave in battle. Music that will make enemies surrender. Music that will make workers more productive." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "General, I do not think you understand what music is for." "I understand perfectly," Thrack replied. "It is a tool for controlling minds, a very powerful tool." Lisa shook her head. "No, you are wrong. Music is not for controlling people. It is for expressing feelings. It is for bringing people together. It is for making life more beautiful." "Beauty is useless," Thrack said. "Power is what matters." Over the next few days, more and more aliens came to Lisa with similar requests. They wanted to learn how to use music as a weapon. They wanted recordings they could play to control their enemies. They wanted to turn the violin into a tool of war. Lisa became upset and frustrated. "This is not what music is for," she told Jake. "They are missing the whole point." Jake tried to help by explaining to the aliens. "Music works because it comes from the heart," he said. "You cannot just copy the sounds and expect the same effect. A person making the music has to mean it." But the aliens did not want to listen. They were too focused on the power they thought music could give them. Ambassador Krell came to Lisa with a proposal. "We will give you advanced technology in exchange for your musical knowledge. We will make you and your species rich and powerful." "I do not want to be rich and powerful," Lisa said. "I want to share music because it makes people happy." "Happiness is temporary," Krell said. "Power lasts forever." General Thrack made threats. "If you do not cooperate, we will consider your music a weapon. We will ban it from our space. We will treat any human who plays music as an enemy." Lisa felt tears in her eyes. "You still do not understand. Music cannot be a weapon because it only works when it is freely given and freely received. If you force it on people, it becomes just noise." That night, Lisa sat alone with her violin. She felt sad and disappointed. She had hoped that music would bring the species of the galaxy together. Instead, it seemed to be driving them apart. Jake found her there. "Do not give up," he said. "Some of them understand. Ambassador Whisper of Storms asked me today if he could learn to play a human instrument just for the joy of it." "But what about the others?" Lisa asked. "We will show them," Jake said. "We will prove that music is not a weapon. We will show them what happens when you try to use it for the wrong reasons." Lisa nodded and picked up her violin. She began to play softly, not for the aliens or for politics, but simply because the music was in her heart and needed to come out. The emergency signal woke Jake from his sleep. Red lights flashed on the walls of his room. The ship's computer was speaking in an urgent voice. "Alert. Distress signal received from Colony Vera 9. Medical emergency. All available ships respond." Immediately, Jake ran to the bridge. Lisa was already there, still wearing her sleeping clothes. Dr. Amy Foster was at the control station, her face pale with worry. "What happened?" Jake asked. "It is the Manthari," Amy said. "General Thrack took recordings of Lisa's music to one of their colonies. There was a rebellion there. Workers were refusing to follow orders. Flack thought he could use the music to make them obey. Jake felt his stomach drop. What went wrong? Everything, Amy replied. The recordings drove the colonists crazy. They are screaming and running around. Some are hurting themselves. Others cannot move at all. The colony is in chaos. Lisa grabbed Jake's arm. We have to help them. This is my fault. I should have explained better why music cannot be used that way. It is not your fault, Jake said, but you are right. We have to help. The UE ceremony flew as fast as it could toward Colony Vera 9. On the way, Amy explained what she thought had happened. When you play music live, it has your emotions in it, she said. Your feelings go into the sound waves. But recordings are just mechanical copies. They have the sound but not the soul. So what happens when you play soulless music to someone? Jake asked. Their brains try to process emotions that are not there, Amy said. It is like trying to eat food that has no nutrition. It makes you sick. But why did it drive them crazy? Lisa asked. Because the Manthari played it too loud and too long, Amy explained. They thought more music would have more effect. Instead, it overloaded the colonists' minds. When they reached the colony, Jake could see the problem immediately. It was built on a small moon with a clear dome over it. Through the dome, he could see people running around in panic. Some were lying on the ground, not moving. Others were hitting the walls with their hands. The music is still playing, Amy sighed, checking her instruments. I can detect the sound waves from here. Jake, Lisa, and Amy put on spacesuits and went down to the colony. The airlock doors were open. Inside, the sound was terrible. It was Lisa's beautiful violin music, but it was wrong somehow. It was too loud, too harsh, and it repeated over and over without stopping. The colonists were all different species. Some were human workers who had come to mine metals. Others were Zephyrians who had been operating the machines. There were even some Vorthan who had been managing the air systems. All of them were suffering. A human woman sat in a corner, rocking back and forth. Make it stop, she whispered. The music is inside my head, and it will not go away. A Zephyrian lay on the floor. His crystal body was flashing different colors rapidly. The patterns are wrong, he said. They promise emotion, but give nothing. My mind is trying to feel something that is not there. Jake found the music system and turned it off. The silence that followed was almost as shocking as the noise had been. Lisa, Jake said, they need real music. They need to hear the real, and to heal their minds. Lisa nodded. She took out her violin. Her hands were shaking, but she began to play. She started with something very simple and soft. Just a few gentle notes. The effect was immediate. The people who were running around slowed down. Those who were lying still began to move again. That is better, the human woman said. That music has a heart. Lisa played for hours. She moved around the colony, playing for small groups of people. Each time, the real music seemed to wash away the damage done by the recorded version. She played lullabies for those who could not sleep. She played happy songs for those who were too sad to move. She played calm music for those who were still afraid. Slowly, the colony began to return to normal. General Flack arrived with a ship full of Manthari soldiers. He was angry and embarrassed. This is your fault, human, he said to Lisa. Your music did this. No, said Dr. Foster. Your recorded music did this. You tried to use music like a hammer when it should be used like a gentle hand. One of the colonists, a young Manthari, spoke up. General, we heard both kinds of music today. The recorded music was like poison, but when the human played her instrument, It was like medicine. The difference was not in the sound. It was in the love. Love? Thrack asked. He sounded confused. Yes, the young Manthari said. The human plays her music with love. She wants to help us feel better. The recorded music had no love in it. It was just sound without caring. Even some of Thrack's own soldiers were nodding. One of them, a captain named Strikeclaw, stepped forward. "General," he said, "I heard the humans' music at the space station. It made me remember why I became a soldier. Not to hurt people, but to protect them. When I heard the recorded music today, it made me want to destroy things. But when she played her real music just now, I remembered what protection feels like." "General." Thrack looked around at all the faces staring at him. Colonists, soldiers, even his own officers were all thinking the same thing. The human was right. Music could not be forced or faked. "I do not understand," he said quietly. Lisa walked over. To him, she was tired, but she smiled. "That is okay. Understanding music takes time. But if you want to learn, I will teach you. Not how to use music as a weapon, but how to use it to heal." For the first time since Jake had met him, General Thrack looked uncertain. "You would teach me?" "After what?" "I did? Music is for everyone," Lisa said. "Even for those who make mistakes." The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the largest room Lisa had ever seen. It was built inside a hollow asteroid, with walls that curved up and up until they disappeared in darkness. Thousands of seats filled the space, each one designed for a different kind of alien body. Lisa stood in the center of the hall. Above her, representatives from hundreds of worlds looked down. Some had eyes like jewels. Others had no eyes at all. Some breathed air like she did. Others lived in tanks of water, or clouds of gas. Jake stood beside her, wearing his best uniform. Dr. Amy Foster was there too, with her computers and data ready to show the council. The crisis at Colony Vera 9 had changed everything. News of what happened had spread across the galaxy. Some species were now afraid of human music. Others wanted to ban it completely. The council had called this meeting to decide what to do. High above them, all sat the council speaker, an ancient being called the First Voice. Nobody knew what species it belonged to. It was so old that it had watched whole civilizations rise and fall. "We are here today to discuss the human practice called music," the First Voice said. "Its words seem to come from everywhere at once. This practice has caused both wonder and fear throughout the galaxy. Some call it a gift. Others call it a weapon. We will hear all sides before we decide." The first to speak was General Thrack. He looked different now. Less angry, more thoughtful. The events at the colony had changed him. "I came here today to speak against human music," he said. "I thought it was dangerous. I thought it should be controlled or banned, but I was wrong." Surprised whispers filled the hall. "At Colony Vera 9, I tried to use music as a tool," Thrack continued. "I wanted to force people to feel certain things. But you cannot force music any more than you can force love. When I tried, it became something ugly and harmful. Real music, the music that comes from the heart, can only heal and bring joy." Next came Ambassador Krell. His crystal body glowed as he spoke. "We Zephyrians have studied human music with our best scientists," he said. "We have analyzed every note, every rhythm, every harmony. We understand the mathematics perfectly. But understanding the math does not mean we can create the magic." He paused, his light growing brighter. "Humans do something we cannot do. They put their emotions directly into sound. When they are sad, their music carries that sadness. When they are happy, their music spreads that happiness. We can copy the sounds, but we cannot copy the feelings behind them." Dr. Amy Foster stood up when her turn came. She activated her holographic displays showing brain scans and data from dozens of species. The council has asked me to explain the science behind music, she said. What I found is that all species can hear and understand music, but only humans can create it from pure emotion. The displays showed colorful pictures of alien brains responding to music. When other species make organized sounds, they do it for practical reasons: communication, navigation, warning signals. But when humans make music, they are doing something completely different. They are sharing their inner feelings with others. She pointed to a scan of Lisa's brain while she played violin. Look at this. When Lisa plays music, her brain connects areas that are normally separate. Memory links with emotion. Emotion links with sound. Sound links with movement. Her whole mind works together to create something that has never existed before. Whisper of Storms floated down from his high seat. His purple form swirled with gentle patterns. I am old, he said. I have lived for 3,000 years. I have seen the birth of stars and the death of worlds. But I had never felt the emotion you humans call nostalgia until I heard Lisa's music. She played a song about missing home, and suddenly I remembered places and people I had forgotten for centuries. Now it was Lisa's turn to speak. She felt small and nervous with so many eyes watching her. But when she began to talk, her voice was clear and strong. You want to know what makes human music special, she said. It is not that we are better than other species. It is that we are more chaotic. Some of the aliens made sounds of confusion. Other species are logical and organized, Lisa explained. You think before you feel. You plan before you act. But humans feel first and think later. We are messy and emotional and unpredictable. Most of the time, this makes us difficult to understand. She smiled. But sometimes, this chaos creates something beautiful. When a human makes music, we are not trying to solve a problem or send a message. We are just letting our feelings flow out through sound. The music is pure emotion with no other purpose. Lisa picked up her violin. This is why you cannot weaponize music. This is why recordings do not work the same way. Music is not about the sounds themselves. It is about the feelings behind the sounds. And you cannot fake feelings. She began to play Killing Me Softly. As the melody filled the great hall, something amazing happened. Aliens from hundreds of different worlds all began to feel the same emotion. Not because they were forced to, but because the music spoke to something universal in all living beings. When she finished, the hall was completely quiet. The first voice spoke again. We have heard much today, but before we decide, we want to hear from the human herself. Lisa Chun, what do you want from this council? Lisa thought for a moment. I want nothing for myself, she said. I want music to be free. I want every species in the galaxy to be able to hear it, learn from it, and maybe someday create their own. I want music to bring us together, not divide us. And if some species abuse this gift, the first voice asked, then we will teach them, Lisa said simply. Music cannot be learned through force or fear. It can only be learned through love and patience. If you try to use music for evil, it stops being music and becomes just noise. The council members began to discuss among themselves. The hall filled with thousands of different voices speaking in hundreds of languages. But slowly, a consensus began to form. The decision would change the galaxy forever. The voting took 3 days. Representatives from across the galaxy debated and argued. Some wanted to ban human music completely. Others wanted to control it strictly. A few wanted to use it only for medical purposes. Lisa waited in her room on the space station. She could not eat or sleep properly. Everything she had worked for, everything that music meant to humanity, would be decided by beings who had only just learned what music was. Jake tried to comfort her. Whatever they decide, you have already changed things, he said. Look at General Thrack. Look at Ambassador Krell. They understand now that humans are more than just fighters. But what if they say no? Lisa asked, what if they decide music is too dangerous? Then we will keep playing anyway, Jake said. You cannot stop music by making laws against it. Music lives in the heart, not in rule books. On the third day, the council called everyone back to the great hall. The first voice floated in the center, surrounded by swirling lights. We have made our decision, it announced. By a vote of 732 to 68, with 50 abstentions, this council recognizes music as humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. Lisa felt her knees go weak with relief. Jake caught her arm to steady her. Furthermore, the first voice continued, this council declares that music cannot be owned, controlled, or weaponized by any government or military force. Music belongs to all living beings who wish to hear it, learn it, and share it. Cheers erupted from sections of the hall. Lisa saw General Thrack clapping his 4 hands together. Ambassador Krell's crystal body glowed bright white with joy. Even some of the species that had never seen humans before were making happy sounds. To support this decision, the first voice said, this council will establish the Interstellar Academy of Arts. This academy will be built on the human homeworld, Earth. Its purpose will be to teach music and other art forms to any being who wishes to learn. Lisa could not believe what she was hearing. An entire academy dedicated to music on Earth. The first director of this academy will be Lisa Chun of Earth, the first voice announced. If she accepts this position, all eyes turned to Lisa. She felt overwhelmed. Just a few months ago, she had been a simple musician playing concerts for humans. Now she was being asked to teach music to the entire galaxy. I accept, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Then louder, I accept with great honor. The ceremony continued for hours. Jake was promoted to admiral and given command of a new fleet of ships designed for cultural exchange rather than war. Dr. Amy Foster was appointed as the Academy's head scientist, tasked with studying how music affects different species. But the most touching moment came when unexpected visitors approached Lisa after the ceremony. General Thrack walked up to her, holding something in his lower arms. It was a wooden flute, carved in the traditional Manthari style, but designed to be played by human lips. I made this myself, he said. I wanted to give you the first piece of music equipment made by a non-human for a human. Perhaps you could teach me to play it sometime. Ambassador Krell presented her with a crystal that could record and play back music while preserving the emotional content. This will let you share real music across great distances, he said. The feelings will not be lost. Whisper of Storms gave her the strangest gift of all. He condensed part of himself into a small, swirling cloud contained in a clear sphere. This is a piece of my being, he said. When you play music near it, it will dance. It will remind you that music touches all forms of life, even those you cannot see. 6 months later, the Interstellar Academy of Arts opened its doors on Earth. The ceremony was held in a great hall that could accommodate beings from any world. The walls were transparent, showing the blue skies and green fields of Earth beyond. Students had come from hundreds of worlds. Young Zephyrians wanted to learn how mathematical patterns could carry emotions. Manthari warriors sought to understand how music could bring peace instead of war. Vorthan philosophers hoped to discover new ways of thinking through sound. Lisa stood on the stage, her violin in her hands. Behind her sat the first interspecies orchestra ever assembled. Aliens and humans with instruments from dozens of worlds, all ready to make music together. Today, we begin something new, Lisa said to the assembled crowd. We begin the age of galactic harmony. Not harmony forced by law or created by fear, but harmony chosen freely by beings who want to understand each other. She raised her violin and began to play Killing Me Softly. But this time, she was not alone. The orchestra joined in, each species adding their own voice to the melody. Zephyrians chimed like bells. Manthari hummed deep, rhythmic bass notes. Vorthan made sounds like wind through cosmic storms. The music that emerged was unlike anything anyone had ever heard. It was human melody supported by alien harmonies. It was Earth's emotions expressed through the voices of 100 worlds as the last notes faded away. Lisa realized that this was what she had always dreamed of. Not just sharing human music with aliens, but creating new music together. Music that belonged to no single species, but to all of them in the audience. She saw Jake wiping tears from his eyes. Dr. Amy Foster was frantically taking notes on her instruments. General Thrack was trying to hum along, his rough voice blending surprisingly well with the other sounds. "This is only the beginning," Lisa whispered to herself. Then louder to the universe, "This is only the beginning." The Academy would grow. Music would spread to every corner of the galaxy. And someday, Lisa hoped, the sound of different worlds. Singing together would be the most common sound in space. Music had not killed anything softly. Instead, it had brought everything gently to life.